going, guys? Mick here from Cartel, back with another kick-ass beer review. Today I'm going to review my Rainbows of Black Citrus Edition. So half of the batch went into bottles when it finished fermenting. Put those into 330ml swing top bottles, and the other half, around about 10 litres, went into 2 times 5 litre carboys onto lemon and orange. Dehydrated lemon and orange, which was dehydrated here at the Hop Cartel. Dried it for quite a few hours, got it as dry as possible, and then put those into the carboy. Still use a little bit of Starzan in there in the carboy with the fruit. Give it some sanitation and stuff. It sat for around about 9 weeks and 2 days. We fell short by around about 2 weeks on the 90-day infusion. I didn't feel that the Braggot was gaining any benefit from sitting on the fruit any longer than that, so we decided to pull it early, get it into bottles. We've been bottled for around about 15 days now, something like that, and this is pretty much the first review of this Braggot. I do feel that it's going to age a lot better over time. It was tasting pretty good out of the carboys. That's the reason why we decided to pull it early. We will be doing it again. We've got a revised recipe. The recipe is up on the Grainfather excuse me, app, publicly open, and it is listed under the Hop Cartel. Pretty good recipe, quite easy. Dry Irish stout base from Hoppy Days Brewing Supplies, and a couple of jars of honey, and obviously up to you whether you want to split it or put the entire amount onto citrus. Split batch work really well. The standard edition is quite nice, and certainly I'll most definitely be pretty happy with the citrus edition. Drinking it young, but to be honest, I've tried it from the bottle, and I've tried it obviously from the carboy, thus knowing that it was needed to be pulled. Not gaining anything from being in there another couple of weeks. So we have it here. We've got a bottle chilled down. I've tried it at different temp, obviously just tempered, put into the fridge for a little while, and this one's been in the fridge for around about a day. A pretty easy recipe, as I said. Base recipe is 4.1% ABV, using East Kent, Challenger and Goldings hops, 3.8 kilograms of ale malt, 380 grams of flaked barley, 380 grams of roast barley, and 100 grams of rice hulls to help with the sparging and try to eliminate the stuck sparge. Wordflock tablets, yeast nutrients if you feel that you need them. They're saying Mangrove Jack's Liberty Bell M36, a packet of, which should work quite fine. Even if even if you didn't use a starter, I feel that this recipe would attenuate, I should say, pretty much well with dry yeast directly to the wort. Batch size 23 litres. Boil size 28 litres, post boil 25 litres, 15 litres of mash water, close to 16, 15.81, close to 16, sparge water around about the equivalent, boil time 60 minutes, mash time exactly the same. The honey being introduced into the fermenter, so the cooled wort was transferred on top of the honey that was awaiting in the fermenter. Mash temperature 65 for 60 minutes, pretty much standard, and fermentation a little bit longer, so they're saying 18 degrees at 10 days for this base recipe, but with the honey added and the use of, so we didn't actually use the Mangrove Jack's Liberty Bell, we used a combination with this. We used, might have been the Mangrove Jack's mead yeast, along with pretty sure it was the Gravy Train, which is the house blend here at the Hop Cartel. It's a combination. It was a American ale malt blended with T56, which is a Belgian strong, and that was used over a number of brews. None of the brews went back to lighter styles. This was the first time I reverted back to something a little bit lighter than a stout that it had been previously used in. So it was used in things like my Rough Nut, the double chocolate coconut milk stout. It was used in the French toast beer that we done, and was used in a Black Forest porter at some stage as well. So, and obviously lighter styles before that. So it just went from light styles when we kept building up to the heavier styles. Pretty much started to conk that yeast out. It picked up a lot of different traits along the way, and so we used it with this, along with the mead yeast as well. So it was pretty much an all-in experimental type brew, but I feel that to follow it down the same path, I still do have some gravy train here. I only have to add some mead yeast to it, but the next version we're going to switch it out. We're going to use 1272, and we're going to add the house strain now, the mead house strain we've got here, which is the Vikings Mud, is what I've named it. So a lot of different things going on here, playing around with yeast and just really pushing the boundaries of certain things going on. May even step it up and use some Kvake, however you like to pronounce it. Quite possibly just use a Fram Garden with the mead yeast and create another hybrid that way. So we might be able to get a hybrid yeast that we can still harvest off the top. So top cropping, still may crop top crop, but it also may not. It may just sink along with the mead yeast when they sort of get together, which is known to happen. So here goes. It's a good sort of style to get into, particularly if you're thinking about the mead style. Not a lot of carbonation for this particular beer. I wouldn't expect there to have, well, to retain a head, I should say, no retention. Does have good carbonation. Only one carb drop used in these long necks because I feel that it hadn't finished fermenting, and I was a little bit worried about it because it was quite heavily still bubbling away. But that is just part of the mead side of things with the meads. Oh, it smells absolutely divine. It has smelt divine with the other tasters that I've had. It's definitely got some wood about it. It's got some barrel sort of things going on there. I feel that's coming from the fruit, the rind, the dried dehydrated rind, and with the carboys, as they say, when you've got fruit in there, you need to keep moving them around, just sort of give them a bit of every couple of days, just not too much of a shake or anything like that, but just, you know, give them a bit of a side by side, and you know, if you can get them as far on their side as they can without spilling out of the airlock or out of any sort of device that you're using to burp off with, and try and get the fruit to do a circulation through the liquid, through the beer, through the Braggot. And as soon as you turn it, it does, it moves, it goes around, and the next bit of fruit comes to the top, and there thus sits at the top. So it's got that oak, it's got the woodiness across, the earthiness, the spice coming across the aromas. As I said, no sort of retention, low carbonation is what I really wanted with this. The other one is highly carbonated. Basically, It probably did go in a little bit early. Only one carbonation drop went into 330ml swing top bottles, and then obviously it did have a high carbonation. It's a little bit creamier. It does have a sort of retention. I think having the fruit sitting in there is actually what it killed a lot of the retention. I might have had a little bit more retention if I'd added the extra carbonation drop, but apart from that, it's drinking quite well. It does have some fruit floating around in there. That fruit, when you sort of squeeze or rub it just gently, it disintegrates in your hand, so it's very, very soft. Segments and parts of the orange and lemon are in there. It's boozier than the other version, or the ones that were bottled first. It's probably taken some sugars and tannins and other things from the fruit. The extra sugar from the sitting in the fruit was probably added to the ABV. Or it's just the aging on the fruit that's sort of given it that sort of feel of a higher booze or a higher content of alcohol in it. But I feel it is gone from the original 6.9 up to probably around about a 7.3, 7.5. And so then it's obviously had the opportunity to dry ride out and gain a little bit more alcohol through that secondary fermentation. It was going to be a massive gamble. Once the fruit was dry, it did sit actually in a glad in a sandwich bag for a while, and the opportunity to regain moisture and whatever else through transfer from a dehydrator to the bag. But it's worked quite well. It is a flavour, I would say, is more of a not so much an acquired taste, but understanding how Braggots work. For me, it's all just been research. It's not been a lot of experience in brewing them, knowing what they're supposed to taste like either. So just a matter of looking it up and trying to get the flavour profile of what to expect. It's far from it. There's not a lot of recipes out there in the way of Braggots that have been made with darker beers. It's certainly something that I'm going to try with lighter styles as well, but for something like this, I'm quite impressed with how it's turned out. I'll definitely do it again. Cheers.